There's room for games that want to recapture some old glory to remind you how cool games used to be. But to do that, you have to add something new to the conversation. Bomb Rush isn't interested in adding anything new. It just wants to have the same conversations we've had for years.
Shut up, bitch.
Wipe out of your mind. Wipe out of your mind. Wipe out of your mind. The questions of the people.
Now listen, I don't dislike Blake Hester. There's actually quite a bit of his work that I really enjoy, such as his interview with John Johannes, the creator of Hi-Fi Rush for GameInformer, or his collaborations with Jacob Geller on their podcast, Something Rotten. The guy very clearly knows how to talk about video games, and he's out there to make that bread. I think we all can relate. I know I can. So this isn't me trying to make a rallying cry calling for his blood. However, I found his recent review of the newest game by Team Reptile, Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, to be a little too harsh and hypercritical. He raises a lot of points that I just flat out disagree with. So in this video, I would like to present my own thoughts on the game and offer some counterpoints to what Blake had brought up in his review of the game. Bomb Rush Cyberfunk is a 2023 action-adventure sports platforming game developed by Team Reptile, the same developers behind Lethal League and Lethal League Blaze, both games that I really quite enjoyed. In it, you play as a crew of street artists by the name of Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, composed of Trice, Bell, and Red, who are trying to go all-city, meaning that they would have dominion over all the 5 boroughs of New Amsterdam, a futuristic European city. On top of this, one of the crew members, Red, is trying to find his severed head, having lost it when escaping prison, and having it replaced with a robot head instead. Thus, Bomb Rush Cyberfunk is trying to get up in the city, while also trying to find Red's missing head. Is the story revolutionary? No. Is it compelling? Not really. Does it have to be? Absolutely not. Is it fun? Well, I think it is. At least I find Bomb Rush Cyberfunk's narrative structure to be a bit more rigid and straightforward than some of its sources of inspiration, from which this game draws heavily. Now, I want to get this off my chest. There is nothing wrong with an indie studio wearing its inspirations on its sleeve. I think it's great when game studios or smaller developers get to make the game they've always wanted to make. I'd say it's probably what I like about the indie developed game scene. There's no lack of passion for the history and craft of video games, especially when it's for a genre of game that has lied dormant for over 20 years, with no new game of a similar caliber in a long time. However, something that Bomb Rush Cyberfunk does is synergize the best parts of late 90s, early 2000s sports action games, while also providing its own unique flair on those elements. And you can see this in various forms, such as the game's aesthetics, which draw heavily from street art, using cel shading to give the world of New Amsterdam this very thick outlined, stylized look. The choice to make the characters low poly also adds to this look, having them look sharp and jagged, like something painted on a train station wall. But on top of this, the game also tries to give characters very little facial animation, to make it feel like an early 6th generation game, like something from the GameCube or Dreamcast, or even the original Xbox. Accompanying these funky visuals is some of the best music that you've heard in quite some time. It's such a lovely blend of genres, from future funk to hip-hop to whatever this song is. It even includes a song from one of my favorite modern musicians, Too Mellow, who also did the music for 2064 Read-Only Memories. And who could forget the contributions from erstwhile Sega composer Hideki Naganuma. While these tunes are great, some of them overstayed their welcome. I feel the game wasn't really good at cycling through songs. I grew particularly tired of hearing the song Big City Life over and over and over again. And while I like the option to choose the song you want to listen to, you have to unlock each song by collecting CDs in-game. I'd prefer if they just had all the songs unlocked from the start, and you could choose whichever ones you liked, rather than trying to hunt down all the tracks. Nevertheless, I enjoyed the soundtrack, even if there were some stinkers. But even more importantly about this game are the game's mechanics. They're frickin' phenomenal. This is one of those games where it's just fun to move around and interact with the world, jet around, grinding on rails, running on billboards, sliding down long stretches of slippery surfaces, only to jump out into a corkscrew. In this game, you have 3 choices of wheels, be it inline skates, a skateboard, or a BMX bike. What you choose depends on the kind of style of gameplay you're used to. On top of this, you have a thruster on your back, which you can use to speed up, and which you can refill by collecting batteries or other tricks. I much preferred this over some of Bomb Rush Cyberfunk's inspirations, where you'd have to charge up a really fast jolt of energy and then wait for it to cool down and then do it again with no real indicator on when you could go fast again. All of this makes Bomb Rush Cyberfunk a really kinetic experience, including the spray paint mechanics, which are fast, quick, sharp, all with these very quick movements of the analog stick in various different combinations. A friend of mine said it reminded them of the strike moves from No More Heroes, and it definitely has a similar feeling of satisfaction with each stroke of the analog stick. Tagging walls gives you rep, which you can use to access new areas or unlock new challenges, as well as just progress through the game. If you get enough rep in an area, you can challenge the local crew to a trick challenge where you have to score higher than them by doing combos, after which you're treated to a psychedelic obstacle course you have to traverse in order to find out more of the story. While I liked the gameplay beats of Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, one thing that I think needed more work, well, was fighting the police. It didn't really feel that good to use the same sort of trick moves in combat against the police. It didn't really have any punchiness or any impact in any capacity, and you didn't really know if you were doing any damage to them in the long run. It really lacks that oomph and feeling. If only you could breakdance on the NAPD like Bayonetta. But aside from the combat and a few other hang-ups, Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, for my money, really accomplishes everything it set out to do. It's fun, fast-paced, and really, really groovy. And while others want to grab some of Bomb Rush Cyberfunk's inspirations instead, I'd say I'd rather play Bomb Rush Cyberfunk than some of those other games. Which, if I may continue to bag on Blake Hester for one moment, he keeps on saying how much he'd rather go back and play original games, including in his review of Resident Evil 4 Remake. Yet, in that review, he gave RE4 Remake a 9.5 out of 10, even though it was very much inspired by another game. It's a remake, and yet he gave it a much higher score than he gave a game inspired by games of an earlier genre. All the while, in his Bomb Rush Cyberfunk review, he decries people wanting a new type of game like Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, saying that they're stuck in the past, like the guy in your friend group who won't stop talking about high school. The thing is, Blake, I love this new iteration in the genre. In fact, I like it more than the original games. I'm glad we got Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, a game of that early transgressionist kind of hip-hop, street culture graffiti ilk. And you're over here saying you'd rather play the other games instead. I'm sorry, sir, but it seems like to me the only one stuck in the past is you.
Overload, too much information. sensation, I can't handle this.
Also, I'd like to say that in his review, Blake Hester said that you couldn't talk about Bomb Rush Cyberfunk without talking about Jet Set Radio. I literally spent this entire review not bringing up Jet Set Radio once. So how do you like them apples? Although I guess I just brought it up right now, so me, I guess.
Gotta turn it up to be unreachable. Buy some time.